which this storm is moving. The winds are moving either in or away towards from our radar. So right now, if you are north of Barnett Chapel, or if you're in Barnett Chapel, get to your safe spot immediately. And again, this is heading straight towards Addison, New Georgia, Inmanfield. Get to your safe spot anywhere along County Road 99. You've got County Road 1244 and County Road 63. This is about to cross over County Road 63. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We want to make sure that you're in your safest spot. Get to the lowest floor of your house, and keep in mind that these storm systems produce very quick moving spin-up tornadoes. The tornadoes that come with tropical weather tend to be a bit more sporadic. These do not act equivalently to, say, when we get cold fronts and warm fronts that move through seasonally during the spring and or even the summer and late fall. These act a little bit different. That's why there's a little bit more of an urgency to these. They tend to be a bit smaller. They're not going to be often very large, but that's why we call them spin up, because they literally just spin up with the atmosphere. This is a very large storm system. I do want to show you that really quickly, because the center of circulation for Laura still sits over to our northwest right now. So this is where the center of circulation for Laura is, but we still have these bands of rain that are extending from Laura, and that's what's producing these late day spin up thunderstorms. So all of these bands are literally, the atmosphere is just churning right now, and it's just a big spin in the atmosphere. So as Laura turns, the atmosphere is spinning beneath it, and it is creating these afternoon spin-up thunderstorms. And again, you throw in just a little bit of sunshine. You don't even need a lot of heat of the day like we generally talk about, again, with more traditional severe weather events. But in this particular system, it doesn't take much for us to get that spin. Now, one thing that I have noticed, so here in this particular storm system, I'll make two notes real quick. We know that our sister station, WHNT, Jason Simpson, taking care of our Huntsville market while we're handling our Birmingham market down here. But it does look like there's a more pronounced signature of rotation for the Andrews Chapel storm system right now. The latest view, you can see my cursor on the map right there. That's going to be right near where the center of circulation is. You see where that yellow is? So that's the notch where you have the energy flowing into the storm, and then that storm is wrapping back around. In our last scan, we had that hole in the center of that. That was a complete circular move. That back edge of that hook echo was coming all the way back around, and the energy was wrapping all the way back around, which indicates that there is a tight area of rotation. Oftentimes that can be in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That may not extend all the way down to Earth's surface, but that's something that we are going to track very closely. So right now it looks like it has dissipated just a bit, not necessarily saying that the threat is over, but we're not seeing those pronounced features like we were 2 and 3 scans ago that were much more classic as far as a hook echo and as far as our kind of that donut hole that we see on the map, which is one of those giveaways for radar features. As meteorologists, those are things that we look for when we are indicating where those areas of rotation are. Let me show you the velocity again, because there's still a definite area of rotation, a bit broader. And when I talk about it broadening out, a few scans ago, this red pixel and green pixel were touching one another. Now there's a little bit of a gap, which means that the winds that are in different directions are spacing out. So the winds that are moving in towards the radar, lifting a little north, the ones that are moving away from the radar a little further south. So we're starting to see the broadening of this circulation. We're not necessarily going to see those as close. So with each scan as it updates, but again, this is traveling right over Highway 63 as we speak. So if you live in Addison, Inmanfield, I would go ahead and get to your safe spot right now. We're looking at this storm moving at about 30 miles per hour at this point. So let me put a track on this, because I think it's important to note exactly where this storm is going at this particular time. So if we're tracking this area of rotation, we want to track this out about 30 miles. So these are some of the places that are going to be of impact. So again, Addison in the next 15 minutes or so, or 13 minutes. Then you've got New Georgia in 15 minutes. And then as we look at these right here, Neesmith in 22, and then Jones Chapel, I'm going to go ahead and tell you go ahead and start making preparations, not to suggest that we're going to see this warning extend, but right now, based on what we're seeing in our velocity products, so this is us looking at the wind directions, and when we have a variance in that wind direction, it shows up as green and or red on our map. That indicates where that couplet or that spin is in the atmosphere. This warning is expected to stick around until 5:15 tonight. Time right now is 4:52, and this particular storm system, again, is bearing down towards Addison to New Georgia. I would go ahead and get to your safe spot right now. It's just slightly south of Ellaville, but go ahead and take the proper precautions. At this point, I say don't risk it. We don't want to take any chances with this particular storm system. Same with Upshaw. I would go ahead and get into your safe place right now. What is that safe place? It's the lowest floor of your house, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So make sure that you are just kind of following those safety plans you know so well. You already know what they are. Now we just need to enact them. So from Addison to Jones Chapel, even out as far as West Point, you may want to go ahead and consider getting to that safe place as we look right now at our velocity products. Now, one thing that I do want to note is our lightning. We are getting quite a bit of lightning out here. We have our lightning tracker, and we're getting about 52 strikes of lightning, even in this just small area. I am very zoomed in to a small geography, so we are getting lots of lightning. Lightning is a key indicator of the strengthening of a storm. When we have a lot of energy in the storm, that lightning reflects that. So it shows that there's a lot going on in the atmosphere right now. So we want to make sure that as we are tracking this particular storm system, that we're mindful of this storm. So yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. Be careful, because the lightning can often be the most unpredictable element of these particular storms. This could be impacting some football games tonight. I just want to go ahead and put that out there, so as you're making your evening plans, that if football is part of that, especially north of I-20, I think that's where we're going to see the greatest threat for a lot of these storms tonight. That's where you need to kind of be most careful this evening. All right, one thing that I've noticed in this last scan is we've just updated this. We are tracking these storms kind of moving northeast, but I see another well-pronounced little inflow boundary. So this is that little V notch we look for. Energy now moving into this storm system, moving back around towards Moreland. So again, heavy rainfall right now from Moreland, just passing through Ellaville up to Grayson, tracking east, northeast, Inmanfield to Addison. Get in your safe spot right now. Barnett Chapel, you're going to be in the clear for this storm, but there is another storm back to our west that we are going to have to keep a very watchful eye on. So this is not the end of this active weather for tonight. Heavy rainfall from Inmanfield up towards Upshaw, probably getting some gusty winds along the leading edge of this thunderstorm as well. We do have a tornado warning in effect at this time. So if you're just now joining us, we are tracking severe storms that are moving through central Alabama. Powerful storms from Laura. Now the remnants of Laura, even though the center of circulation for Laura is to our northwest, well into West Tennessee and West Kentucky, but these are those bands of showers and storms that we've been talking about impacting our state, and this is why we are a weather aware day today. We want to be aware that we could see this inclement weather. So again, right now we are tracking a strong thunderstorm, the potential of producing a spin-up tornado, and we don't have confirmation of that just yet. As we look at our, I'm looking at my communication with the National Weather Service, and at this time, things are pretty quiet, which is actually good news. We're not getting any information right now that would suggest that we actually have a tornado on the ground. These are always radar indicated, but what's very important to note is that with these particular storms, we also want to be very vigilant, because with these pop-up or spin-up, as we call them, spin-up storms, we generally are looking at quick but short-lived storms. So they can come at a moment's notice, and they're with warning, but they're a bit more spontaneous than our traditional summer or even or springtime or fall severe weather events. Okay, we have another pronounced signature in this last scan. Here's one thing I want to note. I do think that we are seeing, look at this, see how that red pixel right in the center of your screen? This is right where we would be seeing that circulation of this storm. This is tracking east. Let me put a track on this, because I do want to point out that Addison, get to your safe place right now. If you live in the city of Addison. If you live anywhere off of Sudeth Road, Burns Road, this is going towards downtown up through County Road 41. So Highway 41 between Addison and Inmanfield. Go ahead and get to your safe spot as we speak. This storm is tracking northeast at this time at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. And it actually looks like we are getting some reports. This just in, some thunderstorm damage. Building material was scattered all over the place at Wilkins Builders. This is in Winston County, and so this is going to be at Free Stat. So that was actually reported by an emergency manager. This particular storm right now we can see is just to the north of County Road 24 near Highway 33 is where that damage was reported, and that was reported just a few moments ago, even though the storm itself has moved well east of that, now traveling closer towards the city of Addison. And as we look at this, here's where we're going to see that. So Addison in about 6 minutes, we have a new track. Did you see that little orange line that popped up at the bottom of your screen? So this is our newest track, and it actually looks like there could be a double spin here in the atmosphere with this particular system. So we could be looking at two areas of rotation embedded here, both of these traveling to Addison, New Georgia, and two new towns have been added, Central and Battleground, but that would be another 20 minutes before these storms reach you. But that does give you plenty of time to get to your safe spot. At this moment, these warnings have not been extended. They could be, though, and I would go ahead and plan for them to be extended. Even if they're not, they're going to pack a punch as they move eastbound. So if you live in the city of Central, if you live in Battleground, go ahead and get to your safe place. Addison and New Georgia, you should be there now. This storm is knocking on your back door. These storms are only 5 to 10 minutes away from moving into eastern part of Winston County at this time. Again, we are tracking with our in-house product here. This is where we're seeing that spin in the atmosphere. I'll declutter this for just a second. Let me take this off, because one thing that I will say is that it can be a little bit hard to view. But as I zoom in here, what we are seeing, and I can actually take a quick look at our wind speeds. So 60, 70 mile per hour winds spinning in the atmosphere right now. And then as we look at our shear, this has actually definitely gotten a little bit greater. So winds at about 70 miles per hour there, and then rainfall out ahead of it. And then back behind it, we could have the potential for some small hail with these particular storms as well. Now, we are dealing with not only the tornado warning, but we're dealing with severe thunderstorms right now across parts of West Alabama. So as we go back to our reflectivity, I do want to show you where we are seeing those severe thunderstorm warnings. So those still include Brilliant, Ewan, even north of Vernon now up towards Moscow. And then Beaverton, please just stay in a safe spot right now. Maybe not the same hunker down center of your house like a tornado warning would be, but this is definitely get inside of a building type weather. Very, very strong winds on the leading edge of this, and this is going to be traveling east towards Winfield and then along Interstate 22 at this time. So keep that in mind. Again, very heavy rainfall with this. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for southern portions of Marion County, northern parts of Fayette, and also northern Lamar County. Even though the storm hasn't quite reached Fayette County, if you live anywhere from Hubbardsville to Stewart to Bobo, please go ahead and take those precautions. Try to get inside at a minimum. Get off the roads if you're driving, you know, if you can hear us, if you're watching us on any of your streaming devices. But I do want to go back to this tornado warning right now, because this is likely where we're going to be faced with the greatest potential for some of those spin-up storms right now. So looks like we have some new information at this time. We'll send it to the desk. We've got Jack Royer joining us. Jack?
Ashley, we just want to give our viewers an update. You're watching CBS 42's severe weather coverage and some damage reports of what we're getting, what Ashley just mentioned from the National Weather Service moments ago. Reports of materials